Let's film this fast, friends. This pretty prototype's tuner tail is fixing to fly on free. See if you can see the bow. Well, whether we're filming this fast or showing it shortly, I think we should keep it short. I'm excited about this prototype, very excited about, but even so, it's not the thing. It's on its way to the instrument I'm trying to make. And you know, there's the thing about kill your darlings, that if you have a rough draft of a novel along the way, you want to not be too attached to it, because then you can't improve upon it to make the real thing. And I don't know, in a way, the shoddy construction of this prototype makes it sort of a self-killing darling. That's pretty dark. I'm sorry, but yeah, this started out as a piece of plywood that I wanted to just export the 2D outline from SolidWorks, take it down to the laser, and just, hey, you know, after a very short amount of time on the laser, I would have the thing that's the size and at least outline shape of the ukulele that I've been collaborating with Jim to design and make. I guess I was just in a place where I needed that feedback, that kind of prompt, you know, reinforcement of the idea this is going to exist, even though I've been mixing its development with so many other commitments and things in my life. So I did that. It was so very inspiring to have it there. I had even left room to put the pickup in there. So if you looked at it and saw it, it had a pickup. It felt pretty real. And then kind of the next step, the inevitable thing, was to look at that and say, there's not a lot between this and a playable instrument. And so working with Jonathan here, I added on a fretboard. I made a very simple, it's not an arched fretboard, just a flat fretboard, and glued that on. There's a little bone nut. We've got Dale's string anchor, as discussed previously. We took a very simple cable from the pickup to a jack. We added a reinforcement plate to mount the tuners and hopefully get them to stay there, which shockingly they have now for 2 weeks, which yeah, is more than I could have dreamed. And Jonathan managed to slope this tail, which was a really important, like, test out the feels like aspect of, is that enough slope and enough clearance that we'll be able to turn those little tuners, or do we need to leave something more? Shockingly, I think it is adequate. A little more might be more comfortable, but it's adequate, and we wouldn't know that if we hadn't made this you know, slightly self-indulgent prototype. Now, I mentioned the 2 weeks thing. Oh, right, one other thing. To actually play it, it needs sort of the connection that is normally built into guitars and electric ukuleles, the circuit of tone and volume, the jack, and we made a very hacky tone volume, tone capacitor, 2 jacks, so one goes in from the ukulele. I've dropped it on the floor so many times. The circuit, that is. So now we're connected there, and then this one comes out of the tone circuit and down into my pedal board. Was actually pedals lying on the floor. Does that count as a pedal board, or is it a pedal floored? Anyway, the thing that has been the biggest delay between completing this prototype and making a nice little video about it is that I had it in my mind that the video was going to demonstrate how fun this is to use with the eBow. You'll recall my talking about the eBow and my eBow boat that I made to adapt it to the string spacing on the previous ElectroUke. And I borrowed an eBow from my friend George, local musician George Middlebrooks, and yeah, he very trustingly loaned me his eBow, which has the string spacing that this one is designed. This narrower string spacing is designed to match. And with all those pieces in hand, I was just so confident I'd be able to make a super cool video of me demonstrating how well this works with the eBow. And I have time and again run up against this sticky problem, which is A, I'm not a great musician to start with, and B, I'm definitely not a master of the eBow, which I think a lot of people would back me up on this, is kind of its own instrument. It really is, doesn't work without a stringed instrument to play with, but it is so different in how you play it, how you make notes appear and how you express them and control their volume, that I had played with it before, but I was still not really making anything worth demonstrating. And spoiler, I'm still not making anything worth demonstrating, but we're gonna try it, right? We're gonna just clap our hands and magically I'll be good at the eBow. Let's see what happens. Actually, you have to turn them on. It's really a picky instrument that way. Well, that was starting out fun. I mean, basically like all of my other eBow experimentation sessions. Not J.S. Bach quality music, but fun. And then an alarm clock went off over there, which let's say was the universe telling me that I'd forgotten something that was on my outline that I was trying to remember to talk about. So hey, let's come back and talk about what was at the bottom of the outline, which was the line that said, "Tension is a puzzle," and then it said spreadsheet. That's on the floor. This spreadsheet was something I put together after failing to remember that Jim, my collaborator on this, had estimated some string tension ideas and where the tuning should fall. I'd forgotten his predictions. And when it came time to tune it up for the first time, I was sitting outside my child's Taekwondo practice over at the YMCA, and I was just sitting there with my phone as a tuner, and I was like, maybe Jim said we're going for baritone ukulele tuning. Does that sound right? And I mean, honestly, that same phone had the ability to search the messages that I had exchanged with Jim. I have no excuse for why I didn't go that extra mile and see what I should be tuning to. But it turned out DGBE, baritone ukulele tuning, was quite taut. And this spreadsheet, where I compared D'Addario's published string tensions for how taut these strings would be if they're tuned to standard guitar tuning at a 25.5-inch scale length. When I go through the omnicalculator.com guitar string tension calculator, it turns out that when I tuned to DGBE at this 17-inch scale length, the tensions were around 40% higher than those designed string tensions. So I'm lucky they didn't snap. I'm happy that this isn't more distorted than I showed at the beginning of the video. Glad I was actually able to crank those little tuners that tight. They felt like they were struggling. I mean, that was a lot of tension, but with a little bit more calculation, I've dropped these tensions down. We're down around comparable or below the standard guitar tensions. And one thing I noticed is the eBow really responds a lot better at lower tensions, or not too low, obviously, but when it's too taut, it's really hard. It seems obvious in retrospect. It's really hard for that kind of floating magnetic field to excite the string, because the string is under so much tension there that it just wants to stay where it is. Anyway, now we're much lower. This is currently unplugged, but we're down around B, E, G sharp, C sharp. So that's stepped well down from D, G, B, E. The same intervals are maintained. It's just stepped half, half, half. Is it 1.5 steps down below? That seems like 1.5 steps down from baritone ukulele tuning. All right, well, thanks for stopping by for that tension lecture. Let's make some more music, if we can call it that. Just talking about the pedal train, I've got the signal coming through my tone and volume circuit here, heading out, down through a Peterson Mini Stomp tuner, which is also great for just stopping the signal before the pedals. Then I've got a volume pedal. I've got an octave pedal, not currently being used, but I can. There's that low note and then octave. It's kind of subtle, but you might hear a roar down there. And then you're probably also hearing the delay. I've got a Electro-Harmonix Memory Boy, and then behind it, or after it, I've got the Electro-Harmonix Oceans 11 reverb there. So that's what we're playing with here. If you turn off the delay and the reverb, the eBow sounds very different. So here's just like a standard eBow with the delay and reverb on. And then the same thing, no delay. Whoa. It's like a little bit lifeless, but still cool with the reverb. And then no reverb. Yeah, it really lacks. It's just a lot less interesting. There's the reverb back on, and then the delay back on. And then you can roll it on and off with the volume pedal. And beyond that, I have no idea what I'm doing, but let's play it anyway. Thanks.